Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. And more specifically, we're going to talk about the first book in this, what's it called? A triplet? I know there's a word for it. The Fellowship of the Ring. So this particular book has all three of the novels in it. And I finally, yesterday, got through The Fellowship of the Ring. Most people are familiar with J.R.R. Tolkien and The Hobbit and The Lord of the Ring. Probably familiar with the show on Amazon that recently got canceled. Forgot what it was called. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it'll be up here somewhere. Okay, so I'll insert it somewhere. Now let me tell you, and by the way, this is my personal copy. I've had this book for over 20 years. And when the movies first came out, I watched them and then I went and picked up the books, or this book, because I wanted to read it. Now, I'll tell you, my dad is like a mega fan. This is his book. He loves the Tolkien universe as far as the Hobbits and all of them go. He loves it. I was a late comer to the game. I knew about The Hobbit. I had read The Hobbit when I was a kid. I love the story. I reread The Hobbit a few years back, and when I started reading this about 20 years ago, I had nightmares. Like, I picked up the first paragraph and I had nightmares that night, and I said, well, I guess this book isn't for me, and I put it away. So I recently picked it back up because I was looking at my bookshelf and I'm waiting for another book to come in at the library, and it's a very popular book, so it's taken a while. And this is a tangent, but this is why I picked this one back up. So I was looking at my bookshelf behind me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to read this while I wait for the other one. So that's what I did for this past week. During my lunch hours at work and when I came home from work, I would read this book. The Fellowship of the Ring is what gets you started. Get you started on a little bit of the backstory about where the ring came from. You go into what Bilbo does. So this is several years after Bilbo's There and Back Again adventure, or the book The Hobbit. Do I have The Hobbit on the bookshelf behind me? Hang on, let me look. I do. It's right here. So this is The Hobbit. So it picks up after Bilbo comes back from his adventures, and now he's close to retirement. He is fairly old when we start out this story, and he has adopted one of his nephews, and that nephew is Frodo. So Frodo is living with him, and he and Frodo have birthdays in the month of September, and they have big shindigs for their birthdays. Bilbo decides that he wants to go on another adventure, and so he sets up this elaborate scheme where he's going to disappear during his birthday party, and everyone's going to be talking about it for now and forever. Where did Bilbo go? Oh my gosh. Now, everyone, well, not everyone. Frodo's in on the secret, and of course Gandalf's in on the secret. Gandalf is a very good friend of Bilbo's and the Bagginsons. He, from The Hobbit, when he picked him up to go on his first adventure with Bilbo, he has been a constant visitor with Bilbo, and they're very close. Now, Bilbo has something called the Ring. Now, if you haven't read The Hobbit, you won't understand why Bilbo has this ring. He tells it, though, again in The Lord of the Rings. Okay, so he tells it again, and he got the ring from a guy most people are familiar with, Gollum, or his former name, Smeagol. So Gollum is a creature that lives down in the mountain, in caves in the mountain, and he's the one that got hold of this ring, and it's his precious, my precious. Right, everyone's familiar with that. He loses it in a game that he tries to trick Bilbo into losing. So he thinks that his riddles, this is a riddle game, at least according to Bilbo, that Bilbo's automatically going to lose the riddle game, and Bilbo does not. So Bilbo has the ring. Now, Gollum is mad. He's like, "What you got in your pockets?" Right? The pocketsies. What's it got in his pockets? So Bilbo has this ring. And unbeknownst to Bilbo, he doesn't really know what the heck this ring is all about. He just knows it's a ring and it has magical properties. So Bilbo, on his adventures, brings back treasures, and there's rumors that he's like really, really rich and it's got all this gold everywhere. Only no one can ever find it. And this ring is something that he decides he's going to give or put into the hands of Frodo. So Frodo inherits the ring. Now, the ring has special properties that if you put it on your finger, you will vanish and no one will be able to see you, so you become invisible. And that is how Bilbo vanishes from his birthday party. And of course, Frodo knows about it, Gandalf knows about it. Now, Gandalf is like, you don't need to be messing with his ring. So Frodo inherits Bilbo's hobbit hole or his home and everything that's in it. And thinking because I don't want to. I'm already at 20 minutes, and there's a lot to say about this book. So that's how Frodo inherits the ring. What's his name? Gandalf. Gandalf goes and wants to find out more information about it, and he tells Bilbo or Frodo, "Hey, keep it in a safe place. Don't mess with it, since we don't know what it does. Except for one thing, we do know that it makes you invisible, but we don't know what kind of ring it is, where it came from, what the provenance of this ring is. It could be one of the 9 rings that were forged," and it's got it right in front of me. Hang on. So there were rings that were forged, 3 rings for the Elven Kings, 7 for the dwarves, 9 for mortal men. And then there was 1 for the Dark Lord, Sauron, who lives in his tower. And he's been like asleep because his ring disappeared. He doesn't know where it is. He's lost it because it's been down in the belly of this mountain with Gollum for a really, really long time. So he's assuming that the ring has disappeared and he can't reach it. He wants to find it, but he's lost hope in that. So Sauron is in his little tower just asleep. Well, Gandalf comes back after several years and figures out what this ring is all about. And the ring is the one ring to rule them all. So with this ring, Sauron can rule all the elves, all the dwarves, and all the men in the realm. When he's going to bring darkness upon it. It is an evil ring. People think, the people in this story, at least the men, certain men, think that they can use the ring for good and it won't have an effect on them because of their pureness of heart. However, that is not the case. It will have an effect on them, as we learn through the travels of Frodo on this journey to get rid of the ring. So the whole goal, now that everybody knows what this ring is about, is to disappear it, to destroy it or hide it so that Sauron can't find it again. Because now we have found out that somehow Sauron has sensed the ring, and now he's sending his Black Riders out searching for it. And he knows that it's with the Bagginsons. So he figured out that it was with Bilbo, only he doesn't really realize that it's with Frodo now. So he sends out his Dark Riders looking for them, and these are the Ring Wraiths. So they're out looking for them, and they besiege these folks on their whole entire journey through the first part of this Lord of the Rings series. So this story is about their first set of adventures as they travel from the Shire, heading east and south towards Mordor, because they need to throw it into that fire. And oh, by the way, speaking of fire, when Gandalf came back, he told Frodo, "Hey, throw it in your hearth. Your fire's burning. Throw it in there and let's confirm my suspicion." So they threw it in there, let it heat up, and then they picked it back out. And the ring was cool. It wasn't hot. Like if you throw something in the fire and you pick it back up, it's going to be hot. Well, it wasn't. And on the inside of the ring, either way, on the ring, there was the runes about what this ring was. And so it confirmed Gandalf's suspicions, and that's what set Frodo on his journey. And in that process, Frodo meets Strider, who is Aragorn. He meets Elrond. He meets Gimli the dwarf. He meets Legolas, is he a wood elf or a north elf? Anyway, Legolas. He meets Galadriel, and is his name Celeborn? Calebro? I don't know how it's pronounced. I don't know how the C's are pronounced here. Galadriel's husband. And so they get to meet the elves, and Sam goes on the journey with them. Two of his other Hobbit friends, Frodo's Hobbit friends, goes on the journey. That's Merry and Pippin. And they all head out on this journey, and they are besieged by the riders who are following them everywhere. Certain individuals are... Oh, and Boromir from Gondor. So Boromir goes with them. They all meet up. It's not like they all just gather in the Shire and take off together. This is like they all meet each other along the route. At any rate, Boromir decides that he wants to know more about the ring. Now, he's been negative Nancy this whole time. He's been like, I just want to go home so I can protect my people. I don't want to go someplace dangerous and scary and do all that stuff. So Boromir starts getting suspicions about this ring because of a meeting that Galadriel had with the council in Lothori. I cannot pronounce Tolkien's words. Lothori, where the elves live. Where the elves live. They have a council to decide what to do. And the elves aren't going to tell Frodo what to do because he's the bearer of the ring. It's completely his decision. But they come to an agreement that the ring has to be destroyed, and they explain where the ring came from, what the ring is about, and all that stuff. And Boromir's listening to this. And as he listens to it, he starts getting a little darkness creeping into him. And Sam notices that Boromir is like looking at Frodo like, what you got in your pockets? So eventually, Frodo goes off by himself because he has a big major decision to make, and this is at a parting point in the story. Are they going to go on to Mordor, or are they going to go to Gondor? And Frodo is like, I don't know what to do. I need a minute by myself. So Frodo goes and has a minute by himself, only Boromir decides to follow him, and this ring has tainted his heart. It's not necessarily long term, so he has a snap in his psyche where he's like, if you gave me the ring, I could use it to protect Gondor, and we could do good things with it. And Frodo's like, I don't think so. I'm the bearer of the ring. I can't just give it to anybody. And the thing with the ring is you can't just take it from them. It has to be freely given. And so Boromir is trying to trick Frodo into giving him the ring. And Frodo's like, and he starts running off and all this kind of stuff. And Boromir is, as the ring leaves his presence, he realizes that he was an idiot, that this is not who he is. And he knew then that the ring had a power that was causing him to want that ring, and not just want it for good things. It was like, yeah, we need the ring. So Boromir decides that he's going to go back off to Gondor. And Frodo decides, I'm leaving by myself. I'm not going to endanger my friends. I'm just going to go by myself and leave and go to Gondor. Now, how he's planning on doing this all by himself, I don't know. He just knew that he needed to get it there and that he didn't want his friends to get hurt. And Sam is like, I don't think you understand, buddy. Wherever you go, I go. I work for you. I'm your friend. I'm going with you. Now, Sam is his gardener. And they have a friendship. Sam was friends with Bilbo as well, and Frodo and he have a very tight friendship. And he's like, look, mister, I'm going with you. Now, I don't know what these two guys could have done by themselves, but they were going to go. And they did. They took off by themselves. And Aragorn, and by this time, Gandalf has perished. He got in a fight with are they called Balrogs? Balrog? Balrog. He died defending them from the Balrog, which was in the caves of Moria. So it was a mountain area that the dwarves were mining in. They created halls in there and all that stuff, but it was protected by a Balrog deep in the bowels of the mountain. And because they were being followed by the ring wraiths, and because the orcs were after them, because Sauron is like, you need to go find these dudes so that I can have my ring back. So the orcs are out there doing that too, along with goblins and all kinds of other critters. And they have besieged the hobbits and their party in the Moria mountain. And in order to get out, Gandalf sacrifices himself. And it's sad. It's sad. If you're familiar with the story, we all know that everything's going to work out with Gandalf. However, right now, they don't know that, and it's sad. The one thing I do want to say, and it's just something that I found really, really funny, is that Tolkien uses the phrase suddenly a lot. Like, suddenly the clouds broke open. Suddenly there was somebody there. Suddenly they saw this thing. Or suddenly so-and-so got up off the stump or whatever. It's all suddenly this and suddenly that. And it cracks me the heck up. So I'm like, they didn't have a thesaurus? You are a linguist. You're a linguist. This is beautifully written words. The descriptions are wonderful. I felt like I was there, but you can't find another word for suddenly. That just cracked me up so much. I liked the story, obviously, as you can tell. I didn't hate any of it. As I said, I felt like I was there with the hobbits, like a fly on the wall. I'm just watching everything. I felt like I was there. I could feel the danger. Wondering, what is this part of the story where this happens, or is that part of the story where that happens, or whatever. So I have already embarked on the second book in this triplet. What do you call it when there are 3 books? Where am I at? So I have just started The Two Towers, which is called the second part of The Lord of the Rings. And I've just started that one. I don't know how long it's going to take me to finish it, if I have enough lunch times. Not enough. Do I have enough lunch times? How long it's going to take me depending on my schedule. I recommend it. It's not for everybody. It's very wordy and very descriptive. But if you enjoy fantasy, you enjoy the idea of elves and orcs and dwarves and all of that, and you want to have some fun with language, there's a lot of the Elven language in here. It's wonderful. I can't read any of it, obviously. So there's like passages of poetry and songs that are all in Elvish. They're all in Elvish, right? The Elven language. I couldn't read any of that. There's nothing in here that goes, okay, this is what this song was singing. There's one where it does describe some of it, but I couldn't interpret the words. There is in this particular book, it does have appendices where it talks about how to pronounce the Elven languages and the maps, and it does have maps. That's another thing. I was really having trouble with the maps because I was trying to see where they were going, and I'm looking at the maps, and the maps are very, very tiny. Like, the words are very tiny, and I couldn't find what I was looking for. Like, where are they? And as you watch the map, so Tolkien is descriptive. They turn east, they turn west, they turn north, and all that stuff. But when you're looking at the map, you're like, they're backtracking. They were going this way, now they're going this way, now they're going that way, then they come back this way, then they go all around this, and then they're back over there. It's like, this is taking you way longer. But of course, they are trying to fool the orcs and the ring wraiths about where they are. They're trying to hide from them. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say about this one. I'll come back when I have read the second novel in this series. Go to your library. They should have a copy of this somewhere. You can probably find it at thrift stores, as garage sales, estate sales. in your bookstores or whatever, but I'll have links to where you can find a copy down in the description. So go down in the comments, tell me what you're reading. Have you read The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring? What did you think about it? Let me know. Do you have any book recommendations for me? I'd sure love to hear that too. And please like and subscribe to all the things, but only if you want to. It helps the channel grow. It helps it reach more people. But that's really not why I'm doing this. As I said before, I just want a repository and a review of the books that I've read, what I like, what I don't like, and I thought it'd be nice to share it with people. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. Y'all have a great day. All right, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.